Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of SOULVERSATIONS. I'm Russell Taylor, and I'm hanging out here in D.C. at the Navy Yards. It's on the southwest quadrant of Washington, D.C., and you can hear all the noise in the background, kids on the bike, the last bit of fun on this beautiful day. People trying to soak up that last bit of sunlight. Today, we have the great pleasure of sitting down and talking to the wonderful, young, gifted, and black Cecily, soulful artist. Her dulcet tones are reminiscent of an artist from the past, Minnie Riperton. She's an amazing artist. She has a beautiful voice, and she has a great head on her shoulders. Stay tuned for her. You're going to enjoy the set. This is Russell Taylor, SOULVERSATIONS. Let's go. Cecily, where are you from?
From Washington, D.C.
Shout out DMV, D.C. So how does being from D.C. show up in your life, your musical life in general?
Yeah. So I think that, D.C. has such an amazing history and current, but also history of amazing soul music artists, all types of artists. But if you think about, Marvin Gaye and Roberta Flack and going all the way back to Duke Ellington, it's a very rich history. And I think that growing up in DC, musically, I was exposed to a lot of live music because of the jazz scene here and because of the go-go scene here. And DC really celebrates live music, live instrumentation, and that had a big influence on me. And then in addition to that, just being like a young black girl growing up in DC, there was never anything I thought that I couldn't do or anything I thought I couldn't be in the world, because there was always someone around me who looked like me, who was doing amazing things, whether it be in music or politics or medicine or law or art, So I think I never felt like I was marginal. I never felt like I was on the periphery of anything. I always felt centered and I always felt capable. And I thank DC for that, as well as my parents, of course.
Well, yeah, shout out Black Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to note that Chocolate City is not just the name, just something to throw out there. There's representation is important. So leads me to the next question is, with this inspiration of music from Washington, D.C., Mom and Dad, heritage, legacy, if you will, what is your musical DNA?
So I think my musical DNA is a combination of things that my parents listen to, things that my older siblings listen to, because I'm the youngest of four and they're much older than me, and then things that I kind of found on my own. So there's a lot of like jazz and Motown from my parents, a lot of 70s soul music in particular. And then, of course, my brothers and sisters, my sister, she loves Tina Marie. She loves Phyllis Hyman, the 80s vibe, loves Shaka Khan. And then I came up in the 90s came up. I was a kid, but what I was listening to was a lot of 90s music. So I love Faith Evans. I love Mary J. Blige, SWV, Erykah Badu, D'Angelo, Groove Theory, there's so much.
Groove Theory,
yeah. So I think it's a combination of that 70s soul, that 90s R&B, and like everything in between, really.
Insecure from the start. fingers, they can hold a heart. The more I want it, the more they tremble, insecure from the start.
I think, I mentioned to you earlier when we were talking just before we come on set that the thing about music is that nothing that we do is new. We kind of draw from this pool of genius that comes before us. So we're going to get to that in a second.
Okay.
We're going to get to that in a second. But I have a question because you also talk about DC growing up here. We just came off an election. We won't talk about that part, but the charge in Washington, D.C., because we are at the seat of the federal government, the nation's capital. Do you ever engage with politics or social justice or anything like that with your music?
Definitely. I definitely believe that everything is political, and I think that some people shy away from that. I mean, my music focuses on love, right? Self-love, romantic love, familial love. But what is at the heart of justice is love. So I think that it's natural for me as an artist to also talk about issues of justice and injustice, and social issues. I've, in my work, touched on gentrification, and I've touched on environmentalism, and I've, it's things that and of course, just the history and the reality of, the violence perpetuated against specifically Black people in this country. And so I think that just as a human being, and specifically as a Black woman and a Black American, that it's impossible to not say something about these things. And I think that whenever I write a song about love, I'm talking about my experience of love, which is as a Black woman. I'm talking about Black love, of my family, of my husband. And that within itself is radical, that within itself is like foundational. So I think that everything I do in some way speaks to issues of justice and injustice. And I think all that for me is founded on love.
You put that one together, sis. Like, I'm over here like writing notes. Absolutely. Thank you for that. That's what's so special about your music. One of the many things. And soul music is important in that regard. Yeah. So also something that's current, we talking about the global pandemic, good old Corona. So as it relates to music, I'd like to know some of your thoughts on what do you think is the new normal for music now? Like, go ahead, hit it.
It's interesting because at the beginning of 2020, I was in the process of reaching out to booking agents in Europe and trying to figure out ways to do a show in Japan. And I was so focused on travel, and I realized once everything slowed down, which everything stopped, at least for a little while, that I could perform for people all over the world from my living room. And that's really cool, right? And I think that the reality of that is something that already existed, but no one was really taking advantage of to its fullness. And so I think that will stay with us as we move forward as artists and as presenters, But I think that the experience of being in a room or even being at an outdoor festival with thousands of people or being in a small jazz club with, 50 people and listening to someone and just feeling that energy move through the room, that is so special, and there's no way to replace that. And so I think that, that will slowly come back as, we have a vaccine and as, things shift. I think that it'll come back, and I'm looking forward to that. It will. It'll happen. It'll happen. I mean, we had a pandemic 100 years ago.
Oh, that's
and
true.
we're still here.
That's true. We're still here.
We're still here, you know? So, you know, there's a lot of tragedy that happens, and I think it makes you refocus on what's important. And I think that going forward, people will treasure that experience even more, you know, of sharing space.
Your mouth to the music ears. This is what we need.
Yes.
I've swum in waterfalls that stung my back, and all I ever needed was to go back. 'Cause even things that hurt make you feel alive, and all I ever wanted was to live before I die. 'Cause there's a river in me, and it pushes my feet, and I'm searching for an ocean. There's an ocean in me, but it won't let me sink. But it's drawing me out. Wash away my suffering. I found myself searching along the shore, not ever really knowing what I'm looking for. Caught in a measurements of a different need, still insecure yet graceful, and damn sure free. 'Cause there's a river in me, and it pushes my feet, and I'm searching for an ocean. There's an ocean in me, but it won't let me sink. But it's drawing me out. Wash away my self-doubt. There's a river in me, and it pushes my feet, and I'm searching for an ocean. There's an ocean in me, but it won't let me sink. But it's drawing me out. Wash away my self-doubt. There's a river in me, and it pushes my feet, and I'm searching for an ocean. There's an ocean in me, but it won't let me see. But it's drawing me out. Wash away my self-doubt.
So, okay, this is my special question. As an artist from Artist Lens, Black Lens, I like to challenge the other artists that I love and believe in. And this is the question. In 2060, what will be Cecily's legacy?
Okay, so in 2060,
Speak it to life, sis. Speak it to life.
I will be 70 years old, which is a good age, I think. I think 70 is a good age. My mom is about that age now. And
Yeah, she's going to beat you up when she sees that.
I know. She's not there yet. She's not there. But she's living life. So I think 70 would be a good age. So my legacy, obviously, you know, I hope to have some kids one day
So
soon.
let's
Okay.
affirm it. It is so.
Yes. Okay, so I'm speaking in the future, so it's already manifested. Okay,
Yes.
so I just pray that my children and maybe grandchildren at that point love me, are proud of me, that I've guided them through life well and assisted them in becoming the full, amazing human beings they're meant to be. And I think that, career-wise and musically, I just want my legacy to be that I made amazing music and I was authentic and my message was uplifting for people. I'd always say that, my main goal is just to be able to make music and perform and to be able to do that for as long as possible. So I hope in 40 years I'll be doing the same thing I'm doing now.
In 40 years, you will be doing
but
the
maybe
same
for
thing.
more money.
Yeah. Oh, not maybe. Let's claim that
For
one
more
too.
money,
For
yeah.
much more money. Amen.
Yes.
But Cecily, I want to say thank you so much. Thank you for joining us here at Soulversations. I am a fan, and I look forward to all of the amazing things that you will continue to do and grow. Let's rock on.
Yes. Thank you so much, Russell. Thank you for having me.
My absolute pleasure. So we're going to get ready for this performance. I want you all to get ready for this because this girl kills, and you are doing my favorite song.
Yes.
No Room for Fear. So next up, Cecily, we can't wait to see you play.
Saw you shone from afar and dip the glide of bounce. Then your smile lifted high, cradle every ounce. Every ounce of me caught up in worry of what has yet to be. Every piece of me that feels what I cannot see. So the question is, can I deal with me? So I don't slow down, grow for you and me. 'Cause I know I love you, dear, in a place that can be moved. And I know that it's sincere, 'cause you have nothing to prove. So I let go of control and fall into what's meant to be. 'Cause there's no room for fear when you're loving me. It's so hard to find examples of love that lasts for long, and there's so much that could happen and change all that we've known. Everything that worries me is just out of my hands. Everything you mean to me is right where we stand. So the question is, can I deal with me? So I don't slow down, grow for you and me. 'Cause I know I love you, dear, in a place that can be moved. And I know that it's sincere, 'cause you have nothing to prove. it's just love.
I told you, Cecily is a tremendous artist. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And you can find Cecily, any of her music, on any of the places that you find your music. And then also she's on Instagram and Twitter at Cecily Alexa. And that's CeciliAlexa. And you can also follow us for all of our previous episodes and get information for our future episodes of Soulversations at soulversations.show. This is where Black artists give space to other Black artists to talk about their art and how they engage with the world through the Black lens. So I'm Russell Taylor. Thanks for hanging out on the couch, and we'll see you real soon. Soulversations, let's go. This is the lightning round, all right? So lightning round, these are rules.
Okay.
First thing comes to mind, just blurt it out.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Favorite female act?
Shaka Khan.
Boom.
Okay.
No disrespect to anybody else you did name. That was the first thing on the mind. Here we go. Lightning rule. Lightning round. Here we go. What is your favorite, what is your go-to self-care activity?
Meditation.
Ooh.
And drinking water.
Ooh. Yeah, we gotta hydrate, right?
Yes.
Okay. Next one. Who are you listening to right now?
Leanne LaHavis and Cleo Soul.
Ooh. Both of those records. Leanne LaHavis, though, she's hit me in my chest.
Yes.
Okay.
She did that thing.
And final one.
Okay.
Dream collaboration, dead or alive?
Oh, wow. Raphael Sadiq.
I just gotta chill. Okay, so thank you for the lightning round.
Thank you.
And here we go. Stay tuned. Soulversations. And I'm Russell Taylor.